Welcome to the .Ugly Truth Podcast, where I speak with some amazing people that have done some amazing things. But as you know, everything that glitters is not always so gold. There's always a little bit of ugly before the full beauty. This podcast is sponsored by none other than www.theuglybrand.com. That is www.theuglybrand.com. Make sure you go get your gear, man. Like, go do it ugly. Get your gear, man. Just get your gear. All right. Today I have an amazing guest, very special guest, um, who has accomplished a lot of things. Very subtle though, very subtle and very quiet about her accomplishments. But we're about to expose a little bit of that today because I do believe that we all go through some things, and it would be selfish of us not to tell our stories because there's plenty of people who go through things in life and they need to hear someone else's story just to make it through. So I have my amazing guest by Shawn Marie. What's going on?
Hey.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, girl,
Hey girl, hey. I'm gonna move this over real quick.
Sure.
Matt, don't be mad at me. I'm so sorry, bro. Matt, man, y'all know, like my podcast engineer, man. I feel like I know there are a lot of people engineers and stuff in the game, but this guy, our working relationship is just seriously
He speaks to
amazing.
you.
It's seriously amazing. So, Shawn Marie, how are you?
I'm doing well, hanging in there. How about you?
Ooh, they don't never normally ask me that.
Really?
I don't know they do. They do. I'm lying, girl. Okay. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. So tell me some stuff, man. You I know that you're in Airbnb space right now,
Yes. Yeah.
and you still have a 9 to 5.
Still have a 9 to 5.
Okay, two nine to
Two
fives.
nine to
Okay,
five.
and we still have the Airbnb going.
Still have it.
What's next?
What's next? To get another Airbnb.
That's it.
That's the goal.
So Airbnb is your thing. That's your
Yeah.
niche.
I love Airbnb. I love being a host.
Mhm.
I love making people feel welcome. That's
Yeah.
my thing. Also goes with my jobs.
I was getting ready to ask you: is that something that's a part of your 9 to 5?
Yeah. So one of my jobs, I am a case manager. The other one, I'm administrative assistant.
Mhm.
So I'm always helping people, always talking to people, always
Mhm.
making someone else's day a little bit easier.
Mhm.
And I get that feel when I get to host somebody in my Airbnb. I love somebody staying at my home and just saying, wow, I really had a good time there.
Yeah.
It was really comfortable. That's the biggest thing to me. It's have somebody feel comfortable,
Right.
especially in a area that that they're not used to. It's
Right.
Baltimore. Baltimore's a little
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
So
Baltimore has its pockets.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when people come there and they say they had a good time, I feel like yes, this is one more person that we we brought to the city that can bring us some
Can
money.
see something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so you have some unique you have a unique story because you're doing this now, right? So you're working, you got your 9 to 5 thing going on, and then you have your entrepreneurial thing going on, but you have some family life going on.
Yeah.
And I want to know about that part. I want to know about how do we get to where we are now?
Okay, so I have an 18-year-old son, Savion, wonderful kid. He's in high school and college. Been in college since he was 14. He'll be graduating both this year. I had him at 14.
You had him at 14.
Had him at 14. Yeah.
Child, what was I doing at 14?
It definitely wasn't having.
It wasn't having no kids. Yeah. No, I'm 34. Still ain't had none of those. Yeah. And so, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at 14 I was still like running track or something.
Yeah, it was surprising though. It wasn't like, oh, she's just out in the streets. Like I think I surprised my parents and was just like, oh my goodness, I did something I wasn't supposed to do. And there's a result coming. And the crazy thing is I didn't tell my parents until I was 6.5 months. Yeah, crazy. And he actually came a month early as well. So I told them really late. Yeah, 6.5 months. So they had 2 months to kind of cope.
Right.
Well, not even 2 months, like a month and a half to kind of like cope with everything that was going on. And then once that happened, I was still going to school and went into labor in school. We didn't we didn't buy Pampers. We didn't have anything set up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, crazy thing is my mother she was super, super upset with me, but my stepfather was actually very supportive.
Right.
At the time my father was locked up. So he wasn't mad or sad. I think he was just upset he couldn't be there.
Yeah.
My mom actually told me to give him up for adoption. I actually found a family and everything. Mm-hmm. And I built up the courage to come to her one day. I was like, I don't want to. I was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, I used to have thoughts of how I would be as a mom and see myself as a mother. And even though I was 14, I was like, something in me, that parental instinct was like, no, keep him. You know?
Right.
So glad I did. Yeah. So glad I did, by the way, because he's such an awesome kid.
He's an amazing kid.
He's a really good kid. So I'm happy. And I'm happy that I kept him because I'm glad his father got to experience that. His father's a good dad. I don't take that away from him at all. I actually didn't tell him. He knew I was pregnant. I told him, I'm not going to keep it, and got scared and hid from him. So it wasn't like he wasn't there. So I'm glad that they have that relationship as well. Right.
14.
Yeah, 14. Good old.
Okay. All right. Boom. All right. So after we have our son at 14, okay, what's next?
Wow. So after that, I moved out at 16. Moved out at 16. I dropped out of school my 11th grade year. And I worked 2 jobs. I worked at Cold Stone and McDonald's. And put my son in daycare. And my father actually signed for my lease for me. He actually came out, got out of jail and everything, signed for my lease. So I stayed in like a studio or efficiency, whatever you want to call it, with my son, and lived that year on my own. I talked to my mother all the time, like my mother, stepfather, all the time. I mean, I was on my own. They were worried. But I was able to, they were able to help me emancipate myself, which is, was something kids used to always talk about back then.
Oh, so you Macaulay culked your parents? You Macaulay culked your parents?
I guess. Like, my mom really was like, look, if this is what you want to do, and you feel as though you can support yourself and you want to be grown, then I'm going to be like, okay, fine, here you go. She wrote me a $4,000 check, which was in money that she had been putting in my savings. She couldn't say too much over the years, but it was something.
Right.
And said, okay, here you go. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. I don't even know what I was thinking even back then.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was thinking.
It was a question.
I think that I was trying to show independency, show my mom, like, trying to prove a point. Like, Mom, I could do this. You know what I mean? So after a year of doing this, I got into a little bit of trouble. Before I had turned 18, I actually got an embezzlement charge. And my mom was really scared. She was like, I don't want you to, mess your life up. You're not that type of child.
Right.
Like, you have a child, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You made this mistake, but let's fix this.
Right.
Come back home for a year, and I want you to finish school. So the house that I grew up in, it happened to be 2 apartments, and they had opened the whole house. Like, the lady had left. She had been staying there for years. She had actually left. They cleaned out the basement and everything, and it was like, well, come back. You can pay your, rent here. You can have the basement.
Right.
I want you to go ahead and go back to school for a year. And it was the best year that I felt good about being home, because I still had, the independency, to do what I wanted to do. I still was working. Son was going to daycare. Crazy thing is, even though I dropped out early my 11th grade year, I only needed 5 credits to graduate. So
so you were a smart kid too.
Yeah, I love school. Very smart kid. When I was in it, I was in it. When I wasn't. But I loved the teachers. It was some really good teachers that really stuck out to me when I was pregnant with my son. Helped me like get baby stuff. Like, I had so much baby stuff. It was honestly overwhelming staying at my parents' house in this little room with all this stuff. But came back, graduated, I actually went to night school, Carlson Night School. And I tell anybody, if they ever have their program still open and a child just feels like they can't do it during the day, go to night school.
Right.
Because you meet a lot of adults there. You see different people, different feel. Graduated, one of the best days ever. My family was the only family that was outside with champagne bottles, and my mother actually bought glasses that were chilled and ice, and she was very proud.
Right. Right. Which I feel like I can understand that, being proud, you know what I mean, as a parent, where, you know, my child at the age of 14 made a life-changing decision, and still, while making that life-changing decision, still succeeded.
Yeah.
And which is what most parents would love for their children, just graduate and excel. And so I could only imagine that feeling.
How she felt. Yeah. She he was 3, I believe, by the time I graduated. 3 going on 4 by the time I graduated, and came back home and everything. And it was a good day. It was a good feel. And then I want to say, shortly after that, I found my first apartment. And then I moved out what I felt like was an actual move out. You know, like, okay, cool. I'm 18 now. I got a car. I can actually move out. But the crazy thing is that when I moved out, I stayed home. I would come home almost every other day.
I think that's a thing that some people do when they, not saying necessarily move out too early, but when they move out early, you know what I mean? You're like, well, wait a minute. Like, is this what this is about? Like, that's it? Yeah. This is all this is?
Yeah, like, it really wasn't too much excitement for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm out. Is it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Okay, now what?
I gotta work. I remember leaving McDonald's,
right,
and changing my shirt on the bus to go to Cold Stone, because that's how much I had to work. And at that time, you know, minimum wage was nothing.
Right, nothing compared to it.
Yeah, nothing at all. Like, you know, my checks would be gone to my rent, mostly in daycare. It wasn't it, you know? So it just wasn't a thing. But I'm sorry.
What you laughing at?
The dog.
The dog.
She just ran down here.
You know, honestly, to be 1,000% honest, I have recorded, I think we are on maybe 15, 16 episodes. And these dogs have never come down here in the middle of an episode.
It was so funny. Look, this time to edit out.
No, I'm not editing nothing, because this is the ugly truth. And the ugly truth is that my dogs came down here in the middle of us recording.
Yeah.
And they typically never do that. And so there are 2 children upstairs right now. And if these dogs came down here, it's probably because those 2 children upstairs have done something that has scared the dogs to come down here.
That was really funny.
But because they're not, you try so hard to ignore it.
I did.
You did.
I did. Yeah.
It's okay.
She came in here like, "Hey,
yeah.
what y'all
like,
doing?"
Y'all
and walked off through the cords. Like,
yeah. I mean, she didn't touch anything. You didn't hear a mic or anything like that. You didn't hear her touch a cord or nothing. And if she's just patiently laying down, so we're gonna keep it going. Okay. And so now you're back. You moved out. You like, okay, this is whack. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So you said you were changing your shirt on a bus to go to your next job, and that was just the story of your life.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've moved out. 18. Baby boy is 3, 4.
He is
math right? I'm not good at math, y'all. 5, 4.
No, he's 4. 4, like 4.5.
Okay, 4.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I remember, like, kind of like that next school year he started school.
Right.
So everything is cool. You know, I got my place. I'm excited. Everybody's excited for me. Out of all my friends, I was like the first person to do everything. Of course, baby, apartment, whatever. So, you know, everybody's like, "Oh, she got a place," and it was really
turn
nice.
Up, yeah. Man. You hosted the kickback.
Yeah. It was well, I like privacy, but for the most part, like, in certain weekends, come on. But after that, my stepfather and my mother had split up for some time, and she was going through something. We couldn't figure out what exactly the something was. So at the age of 19, we started noticing that she was having episodes of thinking people were following her or lashing out, thinking my brother was like talking to her and he wasn't even home, or thinking I was trying to harm her. And she lived in Virginia at the time. I lived in Maryland. But this one particular day, I had just got off a shift at work. And I was like still in uniform, like super duper tired. Mm-hmm. My brother called me. He said, "Hey, mom has locked me out the apartment." Mm-hmm. So, and it's crazy because his father lived upstairs in the same apartment building in the same complex. Mm-hmm. So he lived in the penthouse. My mom lived at the bottom. So I was like, "Well, go upstairs, to your dad's until I get there." He's like, he's not home as well, and I really don't know what to do. So I'm like, "Well, did you call, our stepdad?" He's like, "Yeah, he didn't answer the phone. He must be on a route. He's a mail carrier, so sometimes he doesn't answer his phone." So I was like, "Well, I'm going to come get you. You can stay with me for a couple of days. We'll figure this out." So the couple of days turned into me going to court fighting his father and my mother for custody of him. Because at the time, like I said, her and my stepdad was split up, and my stepfather was in support of me doing it. Mm-hmm. We could not figure out what was going on. Mm-hmm. And it just, she wasn't physically doing anything or anything like that. It was just like her demeanor was super different. Mm-hmm. Not something we were ever used to. My mom. My mom was always very loving, crazy loving person, like mm-hmm. kiss up on you type of person. Mm-hmm. So court gave his father custody at first. His father gave him back to my mom, I guess, because he just was like, "Look, it's a lot, too much, and mm-hmm. I get it, I get it, clearly, yeah, I get it." So, yeah. I took all the parenting classes, and I got custody of my brother. Okay. And the day that I got custody of him, like his lawyer was like, "I think you should wait for the transition. Don't take him out of school." And I was like, "No, we're not doing that. He's coming out today." So I took him out of school and brought him with me. Probably one of the hardest days of my life. Right. I know he loved his his middle school at the time. Mm-hmm. He was playing football. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The distance would have been such a long distance for me to drive. Right. So, I know it really did hurt him. Mm-hmm, but I got him into the high school that was by me. Mm-hmm. Got him playing sports. And so he's now 25. Mm-hmm. Awesome kid. Finished school. Went to college, mm-hmm. got his degree. He's a chef now. But I think it was one of the hardest days to take him from his parents, for me to do that to him. He didn't resent me. Well, for a little bit, typical teenage resentment. But we made it through.
Okay. So at this point, we have Savion, we got the little guy. Yep. Okay. Now you have custody of your 19-year-old brother.
No,
I'm sorry,
13-year-old
brother. Yeah. You're at 19.
I'm at 19.
So now you're 19 with technically 2 kids.
2 kids before I could drink.
Before you could even booze.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so, did you ever figure out, or was there ever a diagnosis for your mom?
So we did not.
Okay.
And she passed away when I was 21. She still went through her episodes, but in this time of her going through her episodes, mm-hmm. she was still working things out with my stepdad, which mm-hmm. we seen like mm-hmm. everything was on the up and up. Mm-hmm. We seen her praying really hard. I kept begging her like, "Hey, go get looked at. Go figure mm-hmm. this out." And to our knowledge, she never did. But when she passed away, we found out that she did, and she just didn't tell us.
What was it?
She had cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay.
And one day she went into the hospital because she said she's feeling dehydrated.
Right.
And then my stepfather called me like that Sunday and said, "Hey, your mom is dying." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "What?" Mm-hmm. I'm like, "What?" Crazy thing is, she passed away. Well, I got that call when I was at work, my first day at this job as mm-hmm. an assistant manager.
Wow.
And the second day that I moved out Baltimore. And wow. I never told my mom I was moving out Baltimore with the boys. Right. It was kind of like a spur of the moment type
right.
of thing.
Right.
And let me remind you, at this time now, I am pregnant with my daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, so now there's a third kid in play. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, number 3. So, number 3.
Okay.
So, I'm pregnant with my daughter. Mm-hmm. when I got pregnant with her, her father decided that he didn't want to be there early on. So when I was 4 months pregnant, I was like, look, if I'm going to be a mother of 3, I don't think the Prince George's County area is going to be the perfect place for me. Right. It's going to be too expensive. Right. We're going to be stuck in this apartment. And not saying I wasn't happy there, but space-wise, it was 2-bedroom. I'm like, oh, no, we need more space. I'm not going to be able to afford it out here. So the job that I was at, I used to work at the good old Largo Town Center, which is not Largo Town Center.
It's no longer the Boulevard.
It's so crazy when I come
PG,
back.
It's like PG Hospital now.
Yeah, like when I come back and see things in PG, kind of like, what in the world? Things change so fast out here. Baltimore's still kind of slow with stuff, but PG County like rapidly builds everything. Yeah. So I used to work over there. They was like, hey, we're looking for someone to go out to Arundel Mills. And I was like, well, that's crazy. I've been thinking about moving out Baltimore. Perfect move. Right. When the day that I moved out there, then the next day I had to go to work. I didn't have any car. I was 4 months pregnant, 2 boys. It was August, so I didn't have to worry about school. Right. Thank goodness. And I woke up at 5 that morning to catch a bus from West Baltimore to Arundel Mills. Bus, MARC train. I made it, though. It was 2 buses in the MARC train. I made it. I was good. But I was like, woo, I do not see how I'm going to keep doing this. Like, I need my first paycheck to roll around so I can go get me a car. And I was at work, got the call from my stepdad, and had to look at my manager and like, hey, I know we just met today, and I am so sorry to bring this on you, but I just got a call. My mom is in the hospital about to die. And it's like he just froze, like, but are you okay? Right. And at that time, I was hiding the fact that I was pregnant from everybody. Like, not the world, but just being private about it. Right. My job, being private about it would have came to my job. Right. I didn't start showing, as you remember I said, with my sons, I was like 6.5 months. So with my daughter, I was always really small. You couldn't tell I was pregnant. So, like, it was a lot. Right. So my cousin, she rides up VW Parkway. She's like, I'm going to come get you. Right. She comes, gets me from work, brings me back down to Southern Maryland Hospital. And I had friends beat me to the hospital. Right. Shout out to your good friends. Shout out to your good friends, okay? Your environment is very important. It is. Your support system is very important. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, these are friends that I don't have to see all the time. I don't have to talk to them all the time, but I will always have their back. Right. Because they was the first ones, front row and center at the hospital. They seen my mom before I got to see my mom. And a good friend called me while I was in the car. We're sitting in traffic, good old BW Parkway traffic. And she was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I think your mom is just waiting for you to get here. She said, I truly believe she's going to pass away today when you see her. But I think she's waiting for you. And I need you to be prepared because you're pregnant. And I don't want you to, flip out. Right. I need you to be prepared. There's tubes down her throat. She like fully gave me, the explanation. Right. And she doesn't understand like to this day how that That's helped a good, me. Yeah. I'm glad that I wasn't surprised. I'm one of them people, you can tell me the movie. Tell me what's going to happen. It's so bothersome. I don't like to be surprised. It's so bothersome. I know, but I like to know what I'm walking into. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you that, hey, yo, Mufasa gonna take this L. No, tell me so I could be like, all right, cool. He about to take that L. Let me like save up what I'm about to save. My tears and stuff. Let me get them together. Okay. Crazy thing is when I seen her, I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I talked to her. I was asking her to pull through. She actually died the day before her birthday. So I was like, can you please try to make it to your birthday? Right. I really want to say happy birthday to you. Right. So went through all that. She passes away in the hospital. She passes away when everybody else goes home, and it's my stepfather, her favorite sister, her husband, which is her. Oh my God, they was like the best of friends, and myself in the room. Right, and then she passes away. And she's at peace. Yeah, I was like, you would do that when it's the 4 of us in this, in this room. Crazy thing is that next Friday, I remembered this, but that next Friday, we were supposed to go to court. Right. And I was going to grant her joint custody of my brother. I had wrote the courts and was like, no, she's living back with my stepfather. She's doing what she
right,
needs to do.
Right, 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 right.
Transition them back, and it's so crazy.
Did your brother know that he was possibly going to be transitioned back, or you did not say anything?
No, I didn't say anything to him. Okay. I was going to actually surprise both of them. Like she seemed like she was just getting better. Right. So I was going to just say, hey, to the courts, let's do it. Let's transition back. Right. And she passed away. Mm-hmm. So when she did, my brother was still with me. You know, he had already lived with me. By the time the funeral had happened, I was 5 months.
How did it affect your brother?
Oh man. Crazy thing is, I tell people my brother is very reserved. He's very reserved. He only gonna say words if he feel like it need to be said. When he does say something, it's pretty funny. He didn't cry. He didn't cry in front of us. He didn't cry at the funeral. You could tell that he was, bothered, but he didn't cry. Oh, I lost my shit though.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I lost. You lost
your shit.
Yeah, I lost my shit. Excuse me.
I mean, rightfully so.
Excuse the language, but
rightfully so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, but he he misses her.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He definitely used to post her up a lot online. Mm-hmm. Different people have different ways of expressing themselves.
Sure.
I'm glad that he didn't turn into an angry person. Mm-hmm. Because I was the angry person.
You were?
Yeah, I was. Oh, yeah.
You were angry?
Oh, yeah. I tell people all the time that my faith had went out the window when I lost my mom. I mean, it's there now. Don't get, but I actually had a best friend help me and pray with me and really help me find God again.
How did you, so when you say your faith went out of the window, what was it that, and was it just that friend who was like, nah? You know what I mean? Was there an incident that happened that restored your faith or something? Like, what was that brought you back?
She had me realize, and then, like, I'm going to say open my eyes. And things that I already knew. That no matter what had happened, things were supposed to happen the way that they happened. Because she said, you had your son at 14. You still got your son. There's plenty of people who don't have their kids.
Right. You
have your brother. Had you not went to court and fought for him, where would your brother have been? His father's not a bad father, but what if he wasn't able to get that same type of motherly love from his father that he needed, that he's getting from you?
Right.
I'm a very structured individual, and I've always been like that, even as a younger child, because my mom ran a very structured household, like on time, have this together, do this. So I think that was good for my kids. Right. They're very, to me, structured now, especially with, how they worked so early and so forth. So I think it was her helping me just open my eyes that you are okay.
Right.
This happens and things happen, but you are okay. And then I told her, I said, when I heard my grandmother cry at my mother's funeral, I had realized, I lost my mom. She lost her child.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That took the selfishness back out of it, excuse me if I cry.
That's okay.
Because I think out of everything that hurts the most, I am super sad. My grandmother has lost 2 of her children. I lost my aunt. She lost now her youngest too at that. So that's a harder pill to swallow than, I hate to say it, in me losing my mommy. You know what I'm saying? Like, she lost her baby. That baby she carried. Yeah. So after that, I was like, you know what? Why am I like this? Why am I angry with God? Like if anybody was angry, it could have been her.
Right. I mean, if anybody had like a free pass, a permission slip on this one,
it would have been my grandmother.
Yeah,
but not me. I didn't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? To do that, to feel that way. So after that, girl, praise the damn. Okay, I'm so sorry, God, that I was feeling this way.
I think that sometimes in life we all have our selfish moments, especially if one of the most I think that death brings out one of the most selfish moments of a person. And I've not experienced such a loss. The heaviest loss I've experienced is me losing my dog last year, which but also was my best friend. So but you still have that moment, and it's so crazy how God works, because he allows it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he already knows that you're gonna rock like that. Like, he already knows you about to be selfish and you about to question him and you about to possibly lose your faith or whatever extremes that you're gonna go to. And then when hopefully that the times that we snap back in, he's like, okay, you ready now?
Yeah.
Because I got something else for you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that I appreciate you saying that and acknowledging that, because one, it's okay to be selfish in those moments. But two, what you chose to do was not to stay there. Yeah. And I think that's pretty dope.
Well, I mean, I feel like my mom left me a piece of her. Yeah. Because of my brother. And then, I was pregnant. So it was like a rumbling, triple effect. Yeah. Every time I turned around, I was like, oh my God, now the next event is I'm having a baby. Yeah, I was at the funeral and people did not know I was pregnant. We put her in my mom's obituary at the bottom, and people were like, I'm boy granddaughter, is she pregnant? We meant to say soon to be born, but the person messed up the writing. But her name, it had Savannah Lenise Brown in it. And I did that because, people were like, oh my God, what if she, what if you would have lost your child? I was like,
still was her granddaughter.
I said, you know what? She knew. That was one of our last conversations was, hey, I'm having a girl. Right. And I need you to help me with the name. So there was 2 names that were planned. Right. And that was the last conversation that we had. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't super happy that I was having another baby. She was like, okay. But even though I had my brother, my son, we still were trying to have that mother-daughter relationship. So I was pregnant, so I couldn't be sad. It was now a time to be like, okay, let me get this nursery together. Let me get this house together. Right. Let me try to figure out life now with a baby. I'm starting all the way over. Mm-hmm. And then we had moved to a different city. I hadn't even unpacked stuff. Right. I had people coming to now help me out Baltimore. Right. But I needed it. I'm glad that I was out Baltimore. Mm-hmm. God set everything up for a reason. Right. I moved out there, so I felt like Baltimore helped me to not be in that cloud space. Right. Because if I was here, PG County, I would have seen things. You ain't gonna keep
dogging PG County. Though.
No, okay. About that, shout out to PG County. Let me tell you guys,
Pretty Girl County.
I love PG County for, I'm gonna say the old me. I'm just saying Baltimore was for
the motherly you.
Baltimore has been my stomping grounds for 10 and a half years now. And it was the best decision that I feel like I could have ever made, Right. I moved out there pregnant, mom died, no car, no real plan. Right. And here I am 10 years later, 2 houses, met a lot of people, cars, kids good. It was a reason for me to make that transition. Right. I couldn't see it then. I didn't know, what it was, but we never know.
That's typically how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Okay. So we move out to Baltimore. We're on bun number 3.
Bun number 3.
Bun number 3. We have bun number 3. Yeah. Okay. What's next after that?
So after bun number 3, so I ended up working for the state out there. Mm-hmm. While I was working for the state, I saved up all my tax money. When girls was out here spending their tax money, I was saving mine.
What they was doing? When girls out there spending their tax money.
I always say it like that because I feel like y'all ever see around tax time, girls be having bonnets on in the store, spending their tax money.
So y'all listen, this is tax time. It's tax time. And I'm going to tell you what.
Y'all gonna see it.
If I'm out and I see you in a bonnet going ham with the dollars, I'm going to know you one of them girls spending your tax money. You don't be ashamed of yourself.
Okay. Okay. So while everybody was out spending their tax money, I was saving mine. I always wanted to open.
Were you saving your money in the bonnet?
Oh my God, no. My mother would have a flip if I ever had went outside with a bonnet. So I could not do that even with her being dead. That's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
She would come haunt me. So I was saving up my money because I wanted to have my own store. That was a dream that I always had, was to have my own thrift store. And the thrift store reminded me of the times that my mother and I would go to the thrift store together.
My mama ain't never took me to no thrift store.
Oh, girl. But they not like how they used to be. I will say that. So you ain't really missing out on nothing.
No, I don't know. I've had a couple of friends who will talk so heavily about a thrift store, and I'm like,
we gotta go to some. If we want to go, we gotta go to some good ones, like some way far out ones. Not in the Maryland area. Like we gotta go to like Virginia. They're bomb.
And as long as they got some good food around there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to have your own store. You saved up your tax money. Okay.
Yeah, saved up my tax money, and I ended up opening my first store. I want to say 24, I believe, 24, 25.
Okay.
Maybe younger. I think it was 24. Saved up my money, opened my store. I mean, and I Googled everything. Nobody told me how to get your LLC, your EIN, none of these things. I Googled stuff and called everybody under the sun at the State Department. They probably were so irritated with me. I didn't take out any loans. I was so happy to say that my merchandise was all donated. Everybody came together. I had so much merchandise. I was super overwhelmed. And wow, like, you know, like this was it was happening. My father painted with the whole place, which was amazing. Friends, family came to help set up. It was just a beautiful thing. Opened my store, and I lived on the apartment upstairs for about a year and a half. And the space was small. You know, I'm like, okay, wow. Because before then, we were staying at one of the row homes in Baltimore. And it was a lot of space.
Right.
So if we moved from that into this, I was like, okay. But I wanted to be in the same, you know, in the store all the time. So I love living up top because I would just come downstairs and work. So I was like, you know, this is not going to work for me. And I was also looking at getting another store.
Right.
So in the midst of getting another store, I seen a townhome that was walking distance on the same street as both stores. I felt like it was perfect. One store would have been way down the street where I would have to drive to. The other one, walking distance, townhouse right there, kids' school around the corner. Perfect for me. I go to look at the townhouse with a realtor. He's like, it's yours. Put the money on it. This is going to be your house. And I'm thinking like, this is the move for me. At this time, it's December. It's cold. Go down to my store down the street. I put a deposit on that as well, thinking everything is great. On the day that I was supposed to move in to the townhouse, I've now told the owners to rent the apartment upstairs. We moved all my stuff out. Everything's in the truck. And the owner said that he wouldn't want to rent to me and my kids.
Of the home?
Of the home.
The day you were supposed to move in?
The day I was supposed to move in. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a bunch of back and forth. I mean, it was like, hey, well, are you going to give me my money back? Like, like I've just paid rent here. I just paid a deposit here. I paid you money. I paid movers.
Yeah.
It's December. I didn't mention both of my kids' birthdays are in December. Christmas. Like, I was in just disbelief.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't go back to the apartment. That's now rented out. Where are we going to go stay? You know, I cannot do this. Like, so I mean, he left us homeless. I had never been homeless. My father was actually going to move into the townhouse with me and let his apartment go as well. So we couldn't even go back to his. And when I say, like, I mean, yes, I have friends. All my family is, you know, down here or in PG or in Virginia, which is going to be too far for me to take my kids back and forth. So I got to, you know, me and my father would go back and forth, get hotels or whatever the case may be. This is a lot of money that I dished out in a short period of time for me to be working a 9 to 5 and just live off a store. At that time, I was driving an Impala that you had to kind of like push on the gas sometime to make the heat come out. Like, I was living on, struggling.
It was ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly.
It was ugly.
I was trying to be this entrepreneur, mommy, 9 to 5. I did not know what to do, but I knew buying a new car was not it.
That wasn't it, right.
And I ain't have no tents. I didn't care nobody who seen me in that thing.
He was fish bowling?
Yeah. She was out
here like Finding Nemo, y'all.
Car used to do this too.
Your car floated?
I don't know. Yeah. Everything probably was messed up on that thing. But it got us. Let me tell y'all, I'm going to go back to the story. This man hit that car. The car got totaled because of a teeny dent. And I said, it's probably because it was so old that they was like,
we're not paying nothing for this.
Legit could have had somebody take the dent thing and pop that dent out. But the car was so old. They was like, no, we're just going to total this out.
They're over it. They didn't want to do it. They was
like, go on, miss.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super funny with that car. But that car got us through some times, okay?
Right.
So we go back, I talked to my father. I was like, hey, the other store has an upstairs. It was a barbershop, hair salon, and a store at the bottom. I was like, I'm just going to stay in the store. And it was a year that we had a winter storm that this happened, like a really bad one. So even if I wanted to try to like move, it was not happening. People wasn't in office. It was a really, really hard year. We stayed in the store until April. And a lot of people have asked, like, what took you so long to move? I'm like, once you have all that stuff, you have 3 kids, you have work, you have school, you've paid all these bills. I mean, I'm cashed out. It is so hard to now say, okay, great, I'm going to just go find somewhere else when somebody else is taking your money.
Right.
I mean, I had got, refrigerator, hot plates, everything. I had got like a microwave stove.
Right.
We were comfortable in there. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's just a store. No, it wasn't that. It really could have been an apartment upstairs. I think at one time it probably was. They just took out everything. But I ended up losing my other store. And I think it was because I was so stressed out by us being in this situation.
Right.
And I just didn't know what to do. Sometimes I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to show up. I didn't want to be there because I'm like, I can't believe I'm just going through this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't it.
Right.
I can't believe I'm waking up, even being able to take my kids to school and go to work at this time. So, I opened up a cleaning business in the same time. That's how I started making extra money to save up for another house.
Right.
So, I closed down my first store. Probably one of the hardest things that I had to do.
Yeah.
But it was understandable. And we lived in that store.
Right.
And I didn't tell many people anything, nothing I was going through. I ended up going through a lawsuit with the guy. So you fighting a lawsuit, kids, all this, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. We ended up moving in April into a townhome that we stayed in. I rented. Beautiful lady that helped me at the front. She only charged us $300 for a security deposit because I told her everything we were going through. Right. And I was like, I'm not a bad parent. My kids still look good when they go to school. Right. They are fed. I made sure I take care of them. This is a situation that I could not control.
Right.
And I need help. And it's always been hard for me to tell somebody, like, hey, I need help. But I remember going to her and saying, please, I now have the money for this townhouse. This is the perfect one.
Right.
Moved in, this lady gets me all new appliances. She said, sometimes we don't even order new appliances. She said, but for you, I'm going to make sure we order all new appliances. They've painted everything. I mean, I remember jumping on the bed with the kids when we got into this townhouse because I was so happy we were out that situation.
Right.
But I do think that was probably one of the best Christmases that we ever had in that store. Because I made the best out of it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that it was probably one of the best times of me and my kids being, in a close area.
Right.
like I said, it was like a little loft space. So my brother his like area was on the loft.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the kids would be like, well, he's up there. We want to go up there. So we would all just like, I would have the beds up there in the loft.
Right.
But it really was a good time for us to just all be around each other.
Right. And
I appreciate that we stuck it out together. Like that was so big, you know. My father was even there. Like he ended up being downstairs. I tell people, I was like, I am scared to take cold showers now because the water heater there was super small. So I would run a bath for the kids in a so crazy, in a storage container. I went to the store and got like a blue storage container, and I would run their bath in there. And Savannah used to think that it was
a swimming pool.
A swimming pool. You would be surprised how kids take things.
Right.
Like they can take the craziest things that you think are crazy and turn it into the most beautifulest time. Yeah. You know?
And I think that's a good point that and this is, I don't know if this is on topic, off topic, whatever, but any parent and you have children, man, believe in your children's dreams. Yeah. Whatever their dreams are, as wild as they may sound to you or whatever, encourage your children to do whatever it is they want to do. If one day they want to be a doctor, then you be the patient. If the next day they want to be a chef, please eat the plastic food. Like, just eat the plastic food. You know what I mean?
All these people talking about they don't want to get their boys a kitchen.
Yeah, get the boy a kitchen. Get the boy a kitchen. I know a guy. I don't really know him personally yet, okay? But when I get a bag, I'm going to know this guy personally. Chef Tobias. He's I think from this area. And just he's a big time male celebrity chef. You know what I mean? I'm like, so when I see this stuff, you know, circulating on social media and getting boys' kitchens and stuff, you know, it's kind of like my mind. I'm just like, knock it off. Like, why is this even a thing?
My brother's a chef. That's what he went to school for.
What is this even a thing? Like, I just want to eat good.
You know what's crazy? He probably became a chef because we had to learn to really fix some meals in when we were homeless. We had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Crazy thing is, the oven that I bought was that microwave oven.
Was it Easy Bake? Oh, my bad.
Oh my God! Do you know Easy Bakes cost so much money now? By the way,
do they?
Oh my God!
See those brownies that are made of?
They're like the brownies that are for an Easy Bake oven.
You know, dusty old brownie with the light. You had that dusty brownie.
I did.
Yeah, you ate the dusty brownie.
Easy Bake oven. It was so excited to have it.
Yeah.
But you can actually like cook. We figured out you can cook like chicken and biscuits, and it was like really neat. But when we went into the townhouse, we stayed there, and I started working at the job that I'm at now. So I've been there 6 years, almost 6 years. Well, 5
so
and a half.
This isn't too far off then.
No, not at all.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say 2016. I stayed there until I purchased my first house. And the way that I met the lady was I was out doing a home assessment for her because she wanted some home repairs. I help seniors get home repairs in Baltimore City. So I was at her house and she was like, I was like, your house is really nice. She had a really beautiful townhome, like some little, minor problems that she needed help with. And she was like, you ever thought about buying a house? And I was like, well, I mean, I've been saving money because at this time I'm cleaning, working that job, and I'm a hookah girl.
You was a hookah girl.
I was a hookah girl.
You was a hookah girl.
I was a bottle server at one place, a hookah girl at another place. Like, I was work. When I say skin, I don't think.
Work. You little clicky on you.
I don't think I knew what sleep was. I don't think I still know what sleep was.
I don't think you do either, to be 100% honest.
But I think I napped. I tell people that. I think I napped in those times. Just to roll over and do it again. And
you know what that reminds me of? Have you seen the movie Princess and the Frog?
Yes.
And remember she was trying to save for that her restaurant. And she came in early in the morning. She took her apron off, put her tips in her tip jar.
Yep.
And then she laid down. And immediately, like, the alarm clock went off.
Yep. That's
what was her name on the movie?
Was it Tiana?
Tiana. You Tiana.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
You Princess
that
Tiana.
Was my life. It was.
Wow.
I always needed a job that made sure I could see my kids. Sure. I could drop them off at school. That's something that I always wanted. And I don't know if people know, but Baltimore City don't have school buses, so you have to find a way for your child to go to school. Which I love, because I could always make sure my children were, in school, and something where I can at least pick them up. Right. So I did those things, but in between that,
you was out here.
I'm out here working. Yeah. I'm cleaning, going to work. All these things. Right. My store opens. I have the second store that now is open. I actually hired somebody to be in the store because I'm still doing these other things. Couldn't focus on it as much, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But I had to talk with the lady, and she said, "Hey, you think about buying a house?" I said, "Well, I got a couple of dollars saved up." She was like, "Well, how much you have saved up?" I was like, like $30K. She said, $30K? I was like, well, I just bought a little car, and I had bought my little Kia. Not little Kia, y'all. Sorry.
You had one of those, you didn't have a hamster car, did you?
No, I had a cadenza. I loved my cadenza. If y'all ever want a Kia, get a cadenza.
Do they even still make them?
No, but get the old one.
So she just sat here and told y'all to get something. They don't even make it anymore.
It was so nice, though. So the space I needed. But, I was like, so I don't know if I could stay in the range, let me know. I don't know how this goes. Buy a house. Crazy thing is, my mom was a realtor for years, and she kept telling me, act right, save your money, and buy a house young. I'm like, okay, girl. And then this lady said this. I'm like, okay. And she calls her loan officer, and I got approved for $125,000. And people can say, like, what? That's it? But to me, I'm like, 125.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it out loud. And I was like, because I'm a realtor here in Maryland, and so in the PG County area, you hear 125, you like,
yeah, you like 125. Well, what you about to get?
Like, what's that's gonna?
You gonna get a shoebox?
Is it? You can get you a little condo, you know what I'm saying, and then pay all these condo fees, like. But in the PG area, 125 is like,
y'all. I was so happy about this 125. She was like, "Okay, we gonna go look for stuff," and we was looking, and I'm like, look, I've been homeless, but I gotta be a little picky on some things. I'm not gonna just settle for these certain things. Sure. And then my father actually called me and said, "Hey, it's this house over in this area. I think you should look at it." I was like, "Dad, that's nice. I don't know if that's gonna be in 125. I'm stuck on this." It was 120.
Wow.
It was 120. At the time I bought the house, it was 8 years old. Mm-hmm. In unit. Mm-hmm. Already had the steel fence up. Mm-hmm. Gates you can pull back in. And try not to cry.
It's okay if you do.
No, but I could not believe I was putting a contract on this.
Right.
When we looked at it, my realtor said, "Oh, this your house."
Yeah.
I said, "This house?" So let me tell y'all a trick for every realtor out there. If you are trying to sell a house, put something in the crock pot to cook, because this lady had food in the crock pot. So when we walked in the house, all these beautiful smells and food came, and it smelled. It
made
so
you feel
good.
like home.
Yeah, whatever she did, I said, "Oh, this is it."
Did she let you have some?
We asked her. No, she did not. Huzzy.
Girl, you got our house. Dang, is that not enough? You want our house and dinner?
She was super, super sweet. She paid for all my closing costs, all but $1,500. Mm-hmm. I wrote her a letter and explained everything that I had kind of been through in my life. And my realtor was like, you don't have to, a lot of people don't do it. She said, but with your story, I feel like you should. Right. I feel like she will look at your story and say, this lady needs this house. Right. And I did need that house. Yeah. So I told my landlord at the store, like, hey, the lease is coming to an end. I think I'm focusing on other things. I think a store is kind of like out of my range now. So I ended up closing my store to save that extra money. Mm-hmm. And then we get a contract. The contract goes, everything goes. The lady said, look, I want to settle in 30 days. I was in that house in 35. Wow. And the only 5 days was probably because it was like weekend time that stuff wasn't processed. Right, you know, in faster time. Right. I did not understand EMDs. I didn't understand so many things that was happening. All I know was that I was at this table signing these papers for my first house.
It's a lot of papers.
Oh my God, you signed your life away.
It's a lot of papers, yeah.
They trying to make sure that you know you didn't sign your life away.
Yeah.
And so found my house, 120. I mean, beautiful brick townhome in unit. I could not have asked for a better home for my kids. Gated, didn't worry about anything. You know, like, oh my God, you can get a little puppy in here because now it, you know, the fence is up. I mean, I was just like, I had a parking pay. You know what I mean? Like stuff that I had not been able to experience. I was like, wow, this is really happening.
Right.
So moving home, everything is fine. Working. And I'm gonna fast forward up because in these few years I was like, Jesus, I'm praying I'm just breaking generational curses at this point.
Right.
I have been okay. You know? Everything is okay. Kids are in school, work is normal. I went through a really, really bad relationship in that time. I think we all go through it. I got past that. And then randomly, I was talking to my realtor, my new realtor at this point. She is someone I went to school with. Shout out to Andrea George.
Andrea George is how we met.
Yes.
So shout out to Andrea George.
That's my girl. And I was like, I really want to buy a bigger house. You know, it's been now 2 years. You know, I bought it 2018. I'm like, hey, you know, the kids are getting older. I think that I should start looking for something else. But I don't know which way to go. I know how to do money things. I tell people, I know money moves. You know what I mean? I knew how to do cash stuff. I don't know how to do this all over again. I need you to teach me. Right. So she walks me through this process. Talk to the loan officer again. He tells me, hey, get these things together in the next few months. I think you can have another house. I'm like, what? Another one?
Another one.
I'm like, and I won't have to sell this one? These things are possible? I mean, like, you know, wow. And look for houses, go on the contract for another home in 2020. And I was like... During COVID.
Okay.
During COVID.
I mean, it's still COVID.
Well, it's still COVID. But
this was like COVID where we don't know what's going on.
This is COVID part one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The first part.
Like it's a frenzy.
When it was fresh and new and what was going on in the world.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, I met the builders because we were looking at one of his other homes that he had. And I was like, I really like this, but you don't have a basement. I need a basement. Even if it's a storage basement, I just need a basement. I grew up with a basement. I want a basement. And he was like, well, I got this house down the street that we're fully renovating. I'm like, really?
Right.
No?
Right.
Okay. Go and look. He was like, what do you think about this one? He said, of course, we'll have to list it up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see what we get. He's like, well, tell me what you think about this one. I'm like, I love it.
Right.
I don't sleep on it, but I love it.
Right.
Slept on it, called her the next day, said, that's my house. I want that house.
Right.
And, I mean, they help with closing costs. You know,
right.
Of course, it costs more because it's a bigger house. So
sure.
But they help with majority of everything. Everything brand new. You know, shell of it not, but the inside, you know, everything
right.
Full renovated. And then I turned my first home into an investment.
Right.
My Airbnb.
Right.
Wow. Life happens fast now that I sit here and I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have a timeline to where you're saying, you know, hey, 14, I had a kid. 19, I adopted my brother. 21, I lose my mother and have another child. Yeah. At 23, you open up a store. At 24, 25, I'm now sleeping in a store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sleeping in a store.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that. So you talk about a timeline, like, that to me feels like an hourglass.
Yeah.
And you just stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. And to some point, finally, you're in a place now to where it's settled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it sounds like the moves that you make are now by choice and not by force.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's a different way to operate when things are not by force, you know, and they're by choice. And so, you know, the level of self-education that you've taken yourself through is amazing. I strongly believe in coaches and things like that, but that's not always an option. Mm-hmm. It's not always available, and you have to have been exposed to that kind of stuff to even know that it's a thing. So for someone to not even know anything but how to turn a computer on and go to Google, that's some boss stuff.
I say Google. I watch YouTube.
YouTube University is pretty dope. YouTube University can get you to a degree quicker than some of these other universities.
It is. So I had knew about Airbnb a little bit because a friend of mine introduced me to Airbnb. Mm-hmm, so the townhouse that we stayed in before I purchased my townhouse, when we were in the midst of like going under contract, mm-hmm. She was like, try Airbnb if you want some extra money. Everybody knows when you're under contract, you can't spend no money.
Yeah, they clocking you.
You ain't doing nothing. You better hold your breath. Yeah. Don't do nothing. Go to work, hold your breath.
Yeah, don't buy no socks.
Don't eat.
Yeah, don't buy no socks. I know I felt that's so true when I was under contract, especially when you're getting close to your time to get to that table. Yeah. I'm like, look, mom, dad, if you like, I want to go and do this. I want to go on this trip. Can y'all just pay for it? I have the money.
Yeah, but
I can't move it right now.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like that's how tough that is. Like don't even not pay your phone bill or something. It's just crazy.
Just don't do anything crazy. I tell people don't buy no car. Please don't go buy a car.
Please don't go buy a car, y'all.
Contract.
Please.
Like people have made stupid mistakes while they're on the contract.
And you ruin a realtor's life like that. Like we get scarred when something like that happens. Because you'd be like, yo, I've told you. My
realtor was not playing that. So it's crazy because when I purchased my first home, remember I said I had all that money. I had to explain to them how I had all this money. I'm like, you know, I save my taxes. I work here. Right. And the guy, actually, the loan officer, super, super cool loan officer, actually said, this is super surprising for an African-American woman that has 3 kids to have this amount of money. And we're going to, he said, I totally believe you. I can see it. He said, but we're going to write these letters and explain everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is how it's set up. You know, I am
disgusted.
This is going on, but I understand it. You know, I mean, people, you're taking a risk. You're giving me this money, so you're taking a risk. So I get it. But she was like, my friend said, put your house on Airbnb, your rental. I'm like,
right.
Well, they gonna stay in here while I still live here? She said, just try it. Try it and see how it goes. And at that time, I was only charging people like $109 because I didn't think the area was that, you know, big.
It wasn't right.
But it was right by Johns Hopkins. So the house ended up getting rented out for 2 months. And I'm glad it was summertime.
Right.
So I would actually tell the renters like, hey, I know y'all been in there for 2 weeks, but can I just come get some of my kids' clothes real quick? And they didn't care. They were like, Shawn, come on in. Like, go get what you need.
Right.
But ended up locking my closets and locking theirs and then just switching out clothes, you know, whenever they would go to work or something like that. It was perfectly fine. And I thought that was even different because I just genuinely didn't know how Airbnb was ran. Right. I know that I was getting over like $3,400 a month.
Right.
And I had asked the leasing office, like, hey, you know, is this okay if I do this? And she said, well, you pay market rent, so you technically can have anyone stay in your house.
Right.
You have your insurance on there. It's not much that we can really do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and approve you to do short-term renting. Mm-hmm. Mind you, the same lady who has helped me, you know, from the beginning. So I'm like, cool. So to me, I'm like, hey, Dad, we going to just come stay at your house, and I'm going to give you a little bit of rent money. And,
right.
I mean, I want to say that was like the best summer though, because I mean, I was working, the kids is out, but I got all this extra money now run around and do stuff. And that's when I was like, Airbnb has to be it.
Right.
It was newer then,
right.
too.
Right.
But so when I purchased now my second one,
right.
I said, I'm going to go back into the Airbnb
right.
phase.
Right.
I want to see how this goes.
Right.
So now my Airbnb is my money maker.
Right.
This past year I've made $44K.
$44K.
For a house that I purchased for $120,000.
Yeah.
Stayed in for 2 years.
Yeah.
And now have a bigger home.
Right.
And I'm learning the ropes of how people get your multiple homes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it has been such a blessing.
Yeah.
My first house really was.
Right.
It was a blessing
in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's a gift that keeps on giving.
It is. So. Yeah. I just said I can't wait to fix up some things and paint.
Sure.
Keep it up. But a lot of people say don't hold on to property. I've had it said to me many times. Don't hold on to property.
Right.
But I tell people all the time, sometimes you don't understand what that property can mean.
Right.
And it just wasn't just a house to us. That was our home. Right. And now it feels like other people's home when they go there.
Right. Well, that's dope, man.
Thank you.
That's dope. It's an amazing, amazing journey. So earlier I asked you what was the next move. Clearly the next move is to get another home for Airbnbs. It seems to be your niche. It seems to be where you want to be. I hope that you're gonna start teaching people Airbnb, because I've been thinking about Airbnb. Like I've been thinking about I want to Airbnb my house out, but I gotta clean up first, and it's gonna require me to throw. I have a tennis shoe problem.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta find somewhere for my shoes to go. Like I'm probably gonna have to pay rent to put my shoes somewhere because I'm not putting them in storage.
No.
Yeah,
Not when you got a good collection, you just don't put your shoes.
You just don't do that.
Yeah, you don't put certain things in storage. No.
I'm not doing it. So
storage rooms are actually pretty dirty.
Yeah, I'm not interested. So, but I do want to get into the Airbnb space. Mainly only because just like you said, just the extra amount of income that it could bring in, and the availability and excess cash that it would bring in. You know what I mean? But it's I know that it can be hands on. I'm going to be pretty hands off. But
I'm still hands on. Not as much. I have a cleaner now. I used to clean it myself too.
Yeah.
But now cleaner.
Started buying back some of your time, man.
Yeah. I needed it. And then when I sat there and I looked at the money part, it really was not that bad. Yeah. It was like, just pay her.
Yeah.
If she doesn't charge, too much, which I love. She's a really good cleaner. I actually get her to come to my current home sometime when I just don't have them days or energy to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually reading a book right now called "Every Woman Should Be a Millionaire" by Rachel Rodgers, and we just read a chapter where she states, the importance of buying back your time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And, she's a millionaire. And so she has like a chef and stuff. And I was like, dang, I started thinking about because one day I'm going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, would I actually really hire a chef? Because I like to cook. Cooking is therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
I still would hire a chef.
But I was about to say, but when you have those days of when you just need
because I be having those days
to yourself.
I have those days and I'm not a millionaire yet. And I still have to get up and like put a hot pocket in there or something. So it's just a fact.
No, I mean, I feel like in this world, it's so many people that come down on Black people, African American people, for wanting to, one, have nice things, or two, get that extra help.
Sure.
I actually read this article not too long ago of a woman saying people made her feel ashamed for getting a doula. Like, why would you make someone feel ashamed for getting help when there's plenty of other races that get that help?
They do the same thing.
We are always looked at like we're supposed to be super strong, overly strong. We're supposed to be the ones stressing over things. We're supposed to be the cleaners. Some of us as providers, when it comes to our household, work these jobs, breastfeed, like all of these things we are supposed to do because of a Black person. We are built as
I believe that I believe that that's a threat. Sounds like to me is there's a level of we're a threat, and I think that sometimes majority of the time what we may be seen as, but as you said, I believe that we all have. We have a right to. We've been oppressed for a while, long time.
Yeah.
And so now that we're finally creeping into the places where we can experience these things, you know, first class flights and good credit scores and you know, putting our children in schools and, you know, exposing them to certain things. It's now becoming and making people a little uncomfortable.
A little nervous
and
in certain situations.
I actually I love it here.
I do
I love
too.
it here. I love it.
People thought it was super crazy because I purchased my brother's first car. I recently my son's father actually purchased my car for my son because I didn't drive the car, but sit there. So we wanted to give him something. Sure. He's a good kid. Like I said, high school, college, you know, so he drives to school, back and forth to school now, and it's a really nice car. But why is it that we're looked at different? Because we're not supposed to give these things to our kids, or we're not supposed to do these things for our kids. You know, I didn't have my parents buy me my car. They looked at me like, girl.
I had my parents buy me 2 cars.
Yeah, see,
both my parents bought me 2 cars.
I wanted to be that parent, and I still want to be, you know, that parent that is able to give the kids those things, especially when I feel like you have kids like, you know, my kids. They're good kids. Yeah. They deserve those things, but it shouldn't be, oh, they now, you know, have these things. So what you doing? You doing something bad for it, you know?
Are we doing something? They think you doing something strange.
You want a little change? Yeah.
Strange for a piece of change.
No, we want to have.
We just made some decisions. Yeah. So okay, wow, you had a story, man. You have a story, and I'm glad that we were able to get it out because, you know, when you're talking about having children and you have children, especially at like a young age, 14 and stuff, it's definitely, you know, not the plan that I don't think any parent would have for their child. But for a while, it seemed like it was just a trickle effect. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so now, my last question is how did you deal with all of these things mentally?
So I like to hike. That is a big thing to me. Mm-hmm. It's crazy because I didn't know that I had so much trauma until COVID.
I knew, let me just get you real quick, right? Like, so COVID exposed a lot of things stuff. With a lot of people. Yes. And I've been in therapy since I was probably like 24. And you know, when you're in therapy, your therapist will, if you have a good therapist and not one that just wants to take your money, they'll say, okay, you don't need to go every week. Now you can go, you know, every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. And I was at a place in life where, you know, I'd done the work, I'd gotten so much better, and I was going every 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And COVID hit in when like March, by like May, I was on the phone with my therapist like, yo, sis, I don't know what's happening. And it's crazy because I'm like, well, I'm working from home. You would think I was happy. Well, and I was happy. I was happy for a while, but I had to realize that I'm in the house with my 2 pups and there's nobody in here. Yep. So I don't have kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm not married or anything like that. So I'm literally in this house. My sleeping schedule changed. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just up watching, like I'm up just trying to manage and figure out. And so at that moment, I realized like, yo, as much as people, and especially like social media, will try to create this savage mindset, you don't need anybody, this and the other. That's when I really realized how important socialization was. It is. And I'm not talking about just being able to like be on the phone or text. I'm talking about really being able to interact and laugh and hang out and feel the vibes of somebody. You know what I'm saying? Or of people, you know? And so COVID definitely exposed, you know, some things. And so, you know, I've just realized how important, you know, therapy was. Because I'm in there, I'm looking at these 4 walls like, I can't even see my parents. Yeah. And my parents, you know, my relationship with my parents is extremely strong. Yeah. You know, my parents live probably like 7 minutes away from me. Like they tried to move somewhere else and I was like, it's too far. So one is either y'all gonna move and then I'm gonna have to move with y'all, like in the area, or we got to figure this out because you can't be too far from me. Like that's how strong my relationship is. And so we got to a point to where I'm having to talk to my parents, outside and stuff like that. It really, kind of really shut down a lot of things mentally. So, but anyway, continue.
No, you're fine. So COVID, yeah, wow. COVID had me think about the things I've been through. It had brought out things that I had not even thought about in years.
Right, right.
Because my life up until COVID
was always gone. Always gone.
I'm always moving.
Right.
So I started hiking.
Right.
And I mean, I legit got up one day and said, Savion's fan, let's go take a walk.
Right.
And they're like, what? I'm like, well, let's just search up a park.
Yeah.
And we went down so many trails that day. And then this day, I remember having jeans, t-shirt, like all this stuff. Dog, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more prepared next time. But I'm like, I'm so glad I was there.
Right.
By the time I got home, I was so tired. I couldn't think about anything that had ever happened in my life. I just wanted to go to bed. But I love hiking. Actually desire to live a life of just hiking in Airbnb. Because those are the things that I love. And I want to do more of what I love.
Right.
I've also been trying to think of ways to make money and hike, and incorporate hiking in that. But between that and I genuinely love spending time with my kids. When it's us and we're out or we're on vacation, like they're really funny. And I feel as though they don't get to see mom stressed out or she overworking. They get to see the relaxed me.
Right.
And that brings out another side to them.
Right.
So I would say those are like my two outlets. Of course, I've done therapy. I did some therapy too during COVID. I think therapists was getting that.
Oh, they still getting that bag. They're getting the bag. But therapy is I strongly recommend and encourage therapy. Because I think that we've all been through traumas and you don't really know, like you said, until you have got time to spend with yourself. And so what has most happened in COVID, and one thing that I've seen, it's first week of February.
Yeah.
So in like the last 5 weeks, I have seen at least 6 suicides. And that's just on social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's on social media. That's because of their status or whatever. And so to anybody who's out there who might be struggling with your thoughts and struggling with your traumas, please reach out to somebody.
And everybody check on your friends.
Check on your friends. Check on your friends and genuinely check and be there for them the best way that you know how. And if you don't know how, please find someone that knows how.
Yeah.
Because right now, with COVID and there's a lot of I'll say spiritual and mental warfare happening.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's very important that everybody addresses or takes the time to acknowledge what may be true in your traumas. So that's just my
take breaks from social media. I feel like social media heightened so much during COVID because
people had time.
Yeah, people had too much time on their hands. So you're still seeing people out and about and all this stuff. And some people that was hurting.
Right.
To see, oh my goodness, this person's still flying out. They still doing this.
Right.
And it's we're supposed to be in the house. I know that it took a toll on some people. It really did. But yeah, COVID, it did bring out a lot. It really did. I'm happy it did, though. Yeah. Because if I never would have sat back and addressed these things, I would have been older, sitting back, retired, and then those things popping
Probably
up.
bald.
No, facts.
Probably bald.
No, facts.
Stressed. Yeah.
I needed it. COVID was the best thing to happen.
I am a strong. I am in large agreement with that. I know COVID and has affected people's lives in so many different ways, with loss. I experienced a loss. Like I said, some people will be like, "Oh, it's just a dog," but it was not just a dog. Yeah. My dog was my best friend, and to have to deal with that inside, you know what I mean? Like every day, waking up, just. But COVID was also one of the best things for me, just for my mindset, entrepreneurially. Is that a word? Entrepreneurially? It's going to be one today.
It's going to be one today.
You know why? Because I can do, it is The Ugly Podcast.
So I can say.
I can say what you want. You can say whatever you want to say here.
As long as you don't say liked it, because... She hates liked it.
I thank you so much for coming and telling us your ugly truth. I really appreciate your ugly truth. And anybody out here who's listening, if you're a young lady, or anybody who's going through, teen pregnancy or anything like that, I'm not the person to call. Okay?
Yeah.
However, I do have a friend who can get you some help and understanding. And I think that would be dope too. Maybe like a nonprofit or something like that.
I used to talk to young girls in schools for a short period of time. So
I think you should run that back. If you have the capacity for it.
I've been saying that for a while now.
I think if you have the capacity for that,
you can come to me. I tell people, I mean, it's part of my job if you think about it. I'm a caseworker. So I'm always out on these streets of Baltimore doing my duties. Hit me. That's all I say.
She said hit her on the sidekick, yo. She has sidekick.
The best phone ever.
It was the absolute. And I'm gonna tell you what. If Sidekick were to come out with another phone,
I would buy it.
I'm buying it.
Yeah,
hands down.
They're gonna have a touch. No, it wasn't touchscreen. They had a roll.
No, it had the little.
But this one would have a touchscreen. Yep.
I'm rocking. Look, this is another episode. We're coming to a close of the Ugly Truth podcast by Shawn Marie. Thank you so much for coming to be a guest, telling us your ugly truth. We appreciate it. And I hope that some find it very, very helpful, and very informative. And if you can relate, just know that you're in a place of comfort, and you're not alone. You're not alone. All right. So don't forget that this episode has been sponsored by none other than The Ugly Brand. Go ahead and get your gear at www.theuglybrand.com. That's www.theuglybrand.com. Peace.